Shalom, Yisrael. Something very interesting is happening right now. You know, when something happens, whether good or bad, you can look at the bright side or the dark side, because there are two sides to every coin, right? For some people, they consider certain things to be good and others consider them bad. For instance, the way this system is set up in this country, white people, they consider it to be good, you see, and we, on the other hand, we see it as a bad thing. But there's something in particular I want to deal with, and it is the huge awakening of our natural selves. A lot of so-called black men and women are starting to embrace their natural hair, right? And so to me, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, the fact that we are starting to embrace our natural hair. On the flip side of that, white culture is demonizing black culture by demonizing how we dress, how we wear our hair, and the court system is now saying that it's perfectly legal to not hire a person if they have a certain hairstyle or certain hairstyles, and in particular locks. Okay, they have determined, when I say they, you know who I'm talking about, they have determined that locks are not appropriate for their workplace, right? Now, the good thing that I see in all of this is causing a lot of so-called black people that were asleep to a lot of the, they call it quiet racism. I don't call it racism. I call it loud and clear racism. It's causing a lot of people to start to pay more attention to these things and say, hold up, wait a minute. Why are you demonizing everything that we do, the way we speak, the way we walk, talk, eat, dress, sing, the way we wear our hair? Everything is being demonized. You know, there's a new hashtag going around saying legalize being black. Okay. This awakening is happening because of the sharp contrast that is shown between our cultures here in America. There's no demonizing of Asian culture or Latino culture or anything like that, but they are demonizing black culture, you see, because the scripture tells us that there was going to be a perpetual hatred against us being the children of Israel, in which many of you don't subscribe to that. But at some point you will understand why we continue to say these things. You will see the truth is unfolding daily. You can't ignore it. The truth is unfolding daily, especially with the fact that there is this very loud and clear racism or hatred against everything black. Loud and clear. No longer is it the whispers in the corner or the little secret cliques that they have over here against the one black person in the workplace. Everything is the loud and clear now. You have the heads of corporations saying, look, if you don't get rid of the locks, you are going to get a pink slip, or you're going to have to be suspended until you comply with what we are asking you to do. Even in schools, many schools around the country have done the same thing, in which they have demonized the hairstyles of black children, whether it's a part in the hair or locks or afro puffs or cornrows. Anything that we do, and like even wrapping the hair. This right here, the way I have my hair wrapped now, in some schools and some places of business would be considered inappropriate. So basically what they're saying to us is that they need us to be little clones of them. They want us to wear our hair like them. So if you can't wear afro puffs and afros, they said with afros they have to be less than 2 inches. So if you're a woman and your hair is 10 inches long, you see, and you decided to wear it in a poofy hairstyle, afro style, then the company says that you have to cut it down to 2 inches to comply with their rules. So basically what they are telling us here in this country is that our lifestyles, our likes, and what's natural to us does not fit in with what they want. Now we can look at that many different ways. We can look at the negative side, in which most of us have. We're basically saying to these people, how dare you tell me how I can dress? And some people just simply comply to keep their job. But there's a brighter side to this if we choose to look at it. Because the scripture clearly tells us to come out from among them and be ye separate, why don't we just do what we're told? If we were to just come out from among them and be ye separate, maybe then we would stop seeking employment with them and we would start our own businesses. I think that because we are so comfortable with working for our former slave masters, the descendants of our former slave masters, we're so comfortable with expecting a paycheck or expecting some type of assistance or aid from them. What it really is, it boils down to us being dependent on them. And because we are dependent, you have those who will cut their hair off because their job has said, no, this is not allowed. I cannot have you wearing locks. I cannot have you wearing braids, afro puffs, dashikis, or anything that represents your culture. If you don't come in here looking like us, if you are a so-called black woman, you better dress up like Becky or you're going to be out the door. If you're a so-called black man, you better cut your hair short, wear your suit and tie, tuck your pants in. You're not allowed to wear any Hebrew type garments or anything like that. Remember how it was when we were among the Egyptians? We had on Hebrew garments. This is how they were able to tell us from them, right? So it's the same thing today, where we are not being allowed to wear clothes that represent our culture, you see, because it is offensive to them, because we are dealing with reprobate minds. We are dealing with people who are not fair, people who have a perpetual hatred, and so therefore everything black will be demonized. I mean, even our music, look at how they've made fun of our music, okay? Even though many of them listen to the music and have secret stashes of black music in their house, you see, and black movies. They actually love black culture, but they hate black people, you see. We make them laugh. We entertain them. They use our people for sex, all kinds of things. They want to use you until they use you up, you see, and then they toss you away. But you yourself, even though they like everything about you, they hate you. They hate the skin you're in. They hate what you represent, and they hate who you really truly are, which is the chosen people of the tribe of Judah, you see. Now, like I said, I know many of you, I've had many people say, I was with you until you started talking that religious Bible stuff. I understand some of our people just refuse to believe because of the lies that have been mixed in with the truth. When you see all of the lies, you tend to just throw it all out. You throw the baby out with the bathwater because you think everything is white. Well, that was one of their deceptions too. They took our ancient text and made it theirs, you see. But they left things behind that gave us real true indications of who the people really were. I mean, look at the regions that most of the Bible was set in. Okay, we're talking about Africa. We're talking about Ethiopia and Egypt. These were not white lands and white civilizations. This is why they use the movie industry to try to paint you a white Egypt. And even with the Ethiopians, there's been a lot of raping going on, a whole lot of raping going on. And so even some of the Ethiopians are starting to lighten up, you see, because their blood has been mixed like it has been all over the world. I mean, look at various regions in South America, North America, here in America, Australia, even in Africa. There are areas to where the slave master has dropped his seed, or the imperialist Europeans have dropped their seed and they have lightened the gene pool. Look at Brazil. Asia, all over the world, you see. And that's talked about in the book of Matthew, where it says that the wicked one was going to plant his seed all over the world, you see. And so what we see happening now is the demonization or demonizing of all of black culture, regardless to where you are in the world. They are demonizing our culture, even though history and present day has shown us who the real tyrants are, right? But when we go and we try to represent ourselves in our natural state, Many of us don't feel comfortable doing that, but many of us are starting to say, you know, I don't care what you say, I'm going to dress the way I dress, and I'm going to speak the way I speak, and I'm going to wear my hair the way I want to wear my hair. And so for me, another loud and clear message should come forth. They've made it loud and clear that they don't want us looking the way we look in our natural state. And so our loud and clear message should be this, that we are going to come out from among you and be ye separate. That's what we were commanded to do. We were commanded to come out from among them and be ye separate. We wouldn't have this conflict if we would just obey. If we were to just segregate like we did before, you see, instead of trying to integrate, then I think we'd be better off. And I know a lot of you think this sounds hateful, but you know this is what you want, you know, and I'm talking to white people with this. Only so-called black people are the ones crying and whining and moaning and groaning about integration. We are the ones who want to unify with the whole world. We're like, let's hold hands, let's unify, let's love each other. But no other race of people who have been treated the way we are treated constantly, no other race is crying for integration with people that hate them. Only the so-called black man and woman. You've got to ask yourself, what is wrong with us mentally to where this is what we desire? This is what we're pushing for. Even though you have people who have made it clear that they don't want this, you see? They have made it very clear that they want us to be separate. They don't want us to integrate with them, you see? Of course you have those who are trying to mix up the gene pool because they know that they are pretty much a dying race. So they are trying to mix things up, hoping to confuse the Most High. But the Most High is not going to be confused. He knows his people, regardless to what the enemy tries to do. So I think it's time for us to take back our own styles and culture and just separate. Instead of trying to go to their schools and be educated by them in the first place, why don't we seek out our own institutions or open our own institutions? Why don't we start our own businesses? You see, there are so many things that we buy, so many black millionaires, that I just don't understand why we don't see the importance of us unifying. You see, even these so-called blacks that marry white people. Do you understand what you're doing? You're pretty much saying, when my life is over, everything that I own is going to go back to the slave master. That's pretty much what you're saying, because when you marry white, don't think that your offspring, that your mixed offspring are going to marry back into black. Most of the time they marry into white, and they continue to marry into white until you are completely whited out. You see, we knew a fellow that was like that, who married a white woman, and when he showed his family picture with his children, all of his mixed children married white. And so they had like 20 of them in the photo. He was the patriarch of the family, right? But he was surrounded by white people, right? Because his sons and his daughters all married white. So he's whited himself out in 2 generations. I don't understand that thinking at all. But this is what we as a people have done, because we don't understand. We don't understand what honor and integrity is. We've tried to integrate with people who really don't like us. As a matter of fact, they hate us. And we think that by integrating ourselves into white culture that they're going to all of a sudden love us. No, that is not going to happen. At the end of the day, you are still going to be the N-word to many of them, you see. And so I think it's time that we start to embrace who we are and stop trying to mix and mingle with a culture of people who are known enemies. They have proven themselves as enemies, okay? I know I did a video the other day where I was talking about the Underground Railroad, and where you had a system that was set in place by white people who wanted to help, okay? But they were few and far between when you compare them to the masses, okay? It wasn't enough of them to end slavery, so they had to create this Underground Railroad. If you had enough of them to end slavery, just say half and half, then the half that wanted to continue with slavery and killing and raping and murdering and maiming, they would have had a challenge on their hands if you had the other half of white population saying, not so, you see. But when you have a drop in the bucket of white people who want to help and want to end racial tension and racial hatred, that's just not enough. I'm sorry, it's not enough. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on this matter. I just want our people to look at the loud and clear message, okay? The loud and clear message is that your hair styles, your natural hair, your clothes, your culture is simply not accepted by white people, okay? Get that through your thick heads, okay? Shalom.